Hello and welcome. So, we're going to be talking about the power of personal branding. So, to start with, why is personal branding so important? Well, your personal brand is essentially your reputation, it's how people perceive you, talk about you, and trust you. So, in today's digital and media driven world, they don't just buy into the brand and the product and the services, they're buying into the person. That's you. Whether you're a brand, business owner, entrepreneur, a creative, your personal brand becomes the reason why they choose you over someone else. So, a strong personal brand builds credibility, it builds trust, it shows your values, your personality, and your mission. It helps you stand out in a crowded market. It makes it easy for you to attract the ideal client and get featured in the media. And most importantly, it gives you control over your story. So if you don't define your personal brand, someone else will. So it's not just about your headshots and your logos, it's about being intentional with everything you do, you say, and you post. I want to play you a short clip from a recent Stephen Bartlett interview, who does the Diary of a CEO. He was interviewing Evan Spiegel, the co-founder of Snapchat. Have a listen to this because it's really interesting. So from a PR perspective, your personal brand is your media foundation. Journalists, podcasters, producers want to feature people who are credible and relatable. They know their stuff. They can offer insights, opinions, thought leadership. They can offer unique stories. They're easy to find, easy to understand, and most importantly, easy to interview. When you have a strong personal brand, you become the go-to person in your industry. Journalists are more likely to say yes when you're pitching your stories. The media opportunities find you through your socials, by your reputation, by quick Google searches. So you're not just pitching stories, you are the story. Now, being media ready means you've got professional photos, a short snappy bio, press ready quotes, and story angles and ideas. In today's multimedia world that we live in, it's important, if you can, to be multimedia ready. So you might have some audio sound bites for radio and podcasts, some YouTube videos if you want to get on TV, your articles so they can lift them for press ready and online content. So think about how you want your personal brand to come across all of these channels. So what are the key elements of a personal brand that journalists are drawn to? Well, they like consistency in your tone, in your messaging, in everything that you do. They like a clear and confident point of view, maybe not too confident, but they like someone with strong opinions. A strong media-friendly profile, like we talked about, have some headshots that are brought up to date and that are current, not from 10 years ago. Have your story, your bio, your topics that you can talk about. Make sure that journalists can contact you and they know your availability. So put links to your diary if you can, or at least have your mobile number and your email so they can contact you. And as we mentioned, make sure you're multimedia ready so they can see all the things and the elements they want. The journalists will know, they'll have their avatar like you do with your marketing. They know if you would fit by looking at you, by listening to you, by seeing what you look like. So for example, the Daily Mail will have a profile of a certain age group, a certain demographic, and they will want to make sure that their readers are reading about people that fit their profile. So how can you make yourself stand out when you're pitching to journalists and the media? Well, you can focus on what makes you different. So like your backstory, your challenge, your solution. Have you got a rags to riches story? Have you got a personal story? Can you tie your story into a topical, trending news story or anything that's current at the moment? Can you make it relevant to the journalist audience? Can you offer real-life case studies or success stories? Maybe you can give tips or insights. Whatever you do, make sure that you stand out above your competitors and share your personal brand and your story. So let's talk about starting out with your personal brand. What do you want to be known for? Where do you want to get featured? I talk about this quite a lot. PR isn't about ego, it's about the end in mind. So think about who are your customers, what are you trying to achieve? Are you looking for more customers in a local, regional area? Or are you looking for a trade and want to be known in the trade industry? Are you looking for more speaking gigs or for investors? What is it you're looking to achieve? And is your personal brand going to be attractive to that audience? Now, you need to be consistent, you need to have your values, but your language will slightly change to perhaps the different audiences that you speak to. So if, for example, you're doing B2B and in the trade press, you might use more technical, knowledgeable language, whereas if you're just talking to the consumers, you'll talk more in layman's terms. When you're starting out, you want to make it as simple as possible for journalists to contact you. That's why you're with Media Matchmaker. You can just send them a link to your media profile that will show your audio sound bites, that will show your video content and your written stuff. You will be able to post your stories and also have your articles in the news bank. Always try and be super helpful to journalists because they sit down each day and they have to plan their content. So if you're known as the go-to person, you've got your personal brand, everything's sorted, it's clear. If there's a trending story or there's something you know you can help them with, just contact them to say, in light of today's story, I can talk to you about X, Y, Z. You can say then, here's my bio, here's my topics that I can talk about, here's my links to my socials. And everything across your socials, everything you do is consistent. You have the same photo, or you have the same brand colours, everything, if you're opinionated, you have the same strength of character. If you're quite shy and humble, you keep consistency with everything that you do. And don't overthink it, just start sharing your story. Be helpful, but not too salesy. One of the biggest tips I've shared over the years is your job is to be the great source of information. The job of the journalist is to introduce you, is to pitch you, is to give you like an intro. This is Rachel from Media Matchmaker, and an outro. You can find Rachel at mediamatchmaker.co.uk. So your job, as I say, is just to be the great source of information. So always, as I said, be super helpful. So what do you want to be known for? What is your expertise? What do you want to talk about? We all know when we say the money saving expert, we know it's Martin Lewis. I think it's Simon Calder is or Colson is the travel expert. So what do you want to be known for? What's your fame name? Have you got one? People do a search for you because when the journalists interview you, they will introduce you and maybe your fame name. So I'm Rachel, I'm known as the Media Matchmaker. And that's just happened to be what I call the business. But so if you're a content creator, you might call yourself the content queen. So the journalists want to introduce yourself in a fun way, but it's also so people can remember you in an instant. It's a bit like, you may not be old enough to know this, but like the Ron Seal ads, it does exactly what it says on the tin. If you get that. For the younger generation, I apologise in advance. So think about what do you want to be known for, and then get some ideas and think about, right, okay, so if I'm going to be the money saving expert, Google it and see what competitors, who else is known as the money saving expert. And what you want to do is make sure you sign off then with the same fame name, so that if you're doing an interview, you might have a name that's probably not easy to remember. You might have a difficult surname, you might have just something that's really unique. So if you have an easy, simple fame name and you sign everything off, then over time it will make it easy for the Google. If, let's say, somebody really listens to you on radio and thinks that story's amazing, I want to speak to that content queen, but your name was something they would never remember in a million years. If you're known as a content queen, they Google you, your name pops up, you've made it really easy. So think about what you want to be known for and see if you can get yourself a fame name. Now, some people you don't have to, but might go one step further and actually register the URL, because when you're being interviewed, they're remembering how you're helping them, not about the products and services you offer. So your job, as we said, is going to be the great source of information, and they're going to remember how you're helping them, how you're feeling, what you're known for, not about the services that you're selling. So if you are known for something, whether you are, let's say, a travel expert or a health and beauty person, make sure that you're kind of the thought leader, you're leading about this. Follow people, set up your Google alerts. You can set up Google alerts, they're totally free, and you might do, I don't know, health experts, or you might do your competitors. I'm not asking you to start saying the same things your competitors are talking about, but see for inspiration what they're talking about. You can put search terms in Google alerts, so if there is any trending stories about beauty tips, then you can repurpose that content, you can comment on it as well, so that you're known as the beauty expert in your industry. Connect with the journalists that write about the things that you talk about. Get to like, know, and trust them too. Because, like anything in business, it's about taking a bit of effort to get to know them, to like their content as well, so that then they notice that you keep liking their posts. You might comment on it. You might then suggest that you've got some tips around it. But so be known for certain things, certain topics that you can talk about, and then connect to the right type of journalists. So, how can you leverage your personal brand and PR on a budget? Some of you might be solopreneurs, starting out, entrepreneurs, just a small business, or you might just want to keep a small budget allocated to PR. Well, you can use services as you are, like Media Matchmaker. So we offer really cost-effective PR, but there are tools out there. There's PR agencies that you can work with. They do a great job. They could, help position you as a personal brand, get your stories out there and work with you on your behalf. There's lots of freelance journalists out there as well that write about specific topics. So if you're on a budget, think about, like I said already, trending news stories. Think about what awareness days. Now, we've got the awareness days calendar. You'll be able to see how you can, there's a separate section on here on how you can get your personal brand up and ready with Media Matchmaker. But you can tag yourself to awareness days. There's over 800 awareness days across the year, the calendar, whether they're UK, whether they're worldwide. Some of them are days, some of them are months. So you can tag yourself to those days, so that when journalists use our platform and come to Media Matchmaker, they will say, right, we want to speak to someone that can talk about World Mental Health Day. And your profile will pop up if that's something you can help with. So there's lots of ways you can, get started with PR, with your personal brand on a budget. So think about, as I said, connecting to the journalists. Think if there's any awareness days, trending news stories that are going out that you can talk about, but always match it to the journalists then that you want to connect to, whether it's your regional press, whether it's the nationals, or whether it's radio, TV. PR isn't about putting yourself out your comfort zone, but it is about sharing your message with the world, because I hope you're in business because you're helping someone, you're solving a problem, you're fixing something. So you want to share your story with the world. And I'm guessing you're doing your marketing because you want to reach a bigger, wider community. Well, journalists have those communities already. So at the moment, you might be doing your LinkedIn posts, you might be doing some, your own Instagram, your own newsletters. That's already your fixed community. What PR does is allow you to go to other communities that are already built. So as you'll hear me say this many times, with PR, with Media Matchmaker, we're helping you take your brand that you've already got, your content you've already got, but sharing it to established communities that really can help raise your profile, build more credibility, and bring you new customers, which equals cash in the bank. So let's talk about authenticity in your personal brand. People want to see you. They want to really get to know the emotional side to you. And that's what PR is all about. PR is an emotional connection. Anything we watch, if people open themselves up, we feel like we can resonate with them. We buy off them because we either like them, or we don't buy off them because we don't. So make sure you are not vulnerable to the extent that you're just doing it to get PR, but you're real. People connect with real people. So authenticity is really important. So definitely be yourself. Now, if you are a strong character or you have strong opinions, that's absolutely fine. Stick with them. Obviously, don't be offensive. Think about your language, because PR does stick around and you want it to be credible PR for you, but definitely you still want to be yourself. So make sure your key messages, your tone, your style, everything reflects you. One of the things you'll find access to is we've created all the AI PR prompts that will get to know and recognize you as your personal brand. So that's exciting. You're going to be able to do that separately from here. So you'll be able to access, and it will build your tone. You can check it. And once you've got that, you can upload that to everything, your future content writing for your articles, not just your press releases, for any of your articles that you're doing. So just establishing your personal brand, your tone, your feel is a really important thing to get started with. I hope you're getting excited about all of this. And really be human. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be human. Now, your personal brand will evolve in time, and that's fine, and it should. So, where you are now or where you were 5 years ago, I would imagine looks very different. Whether your business has changed, you've evolved, your services might have changed, you might be doing something completely brand new. Now, journalists will obviously look and go back and do their due diligence and look into you. So that's fine. But make sure that your personal brand does evolve with what you're doing, that you are always on top of things. Things will change in your industry. So be the thought person, thought leader, knowing that things are changing, but also be consistent, but also don't be frightened to evolve and to change. So definitely, review your personal profile and your branding every 6 to 12 months, especially with your photos. As I've said there's nothing more frustrating that if a journalist is going to come to your website and wants to interview you, that you've got a photo on that's maybe 10 years older or isn't what you look like. Maybe you had pink hair then and now you've got brown hair. You need it to represent your personality now, because sometimes, not very often these days, they might send a photographer, or it might be for TV, they want to see what you look like. Well, if they turn up or they see that you're completely different, or your years a lot older, then they're not going to be very happy with you, and you're wasting everybody's time. So make sure you have reviewed your photos, they are representing you and who you are today and what you look like today. So a few tips for you to kind of build your personal brand. Start following the journalists on their social media. Now, we can help you with those depending on whatever media pass you've got. You might have access to journo requests, so PR leads that come in from journalists. Therefore, if if there's a journalist story that you can help with, follow that journalist on Twitter. Start connecting to them, find them on LinkedIn as well. It's just simple things like, if you want to get into the Telegraph or the Times or online, then see what journalists write about health, beauty, manufacturing, and start following and finding them that way. It's like anything in business. We want quality, but we also want quantity. So yes, you might also be on one of our media passes where you've got access to 60,000 journalists. So you could search for literally all of the journalists that write about beauty or health or manufacturing, and you could send out an email, literally at the touch of a button, that it looks like it's personalised to all of them. That's great, especially if it's a topical story or you're the expert and you can comment on something that's trending. But it's really important as well, you think about the quality, so that you actually maybe get 10, I call it a hot list. Create yourself own media hot list of where you want to be connected to those people, and take time to find out their details, their socials, their emails, comment on what they write about. Because one article, one piece of you being known as the expert, the thought leader, could change your business overnight. But it also really has credibility with future customers, with prospects. It gives you something to talk about. People trust you a lot more if you've had PR. So really think about how you can get the quality, which is as important as the quantity. Got that right the right way. So as I've said before, be super helpful. So whatever you're doing, your personal brand is maybe on your website. People want to know what about you. I would definitely recommend on your website, if you're looking for PR and publicity, and obviously you are because you're here, that you maybe consider having a press page, and there's articles that you can read about that. So your personal brand on your press page will say a little bit about you, will have your headshots. When you send out emails to journalists, always put low resolution images. But then when you have your press page, or you'll send them your media matchmaker profile, you can upload your high res images as well. Always try and have an image of a headshot and a full length image. And if it's something you do, if you're a cook or a baker or you're making widgets, try and have your photos that reflect your personality but show also what you do. I know it's a lot to think about, but by building your personal brand now and getting your tone right and working with AI tools like ChatGPT is going to help everything you do be consistent, and it will help you certainly with your PR and your media success. So finally, journalists love stories and brands that are ready to go. So make it as simple as I've said for them as you can, so that you can secure publicity. Get your sound bites, get your key messages ready, the topics that you can talk about. Now, all these tools are accessible. You'll see the links in here that you can access that goes along with this session. So make sure you download it, everything. Make it as easy as you can as possible, but definitely have some fun with your personal brand. Be true to yourself, be authentic. And when you've uploaded your personal profile and your brand and your media profile in Media Matchmaker, send it to me so we can showcase you and share your personal brand with everybody else. Good luck, and I hope you found this useful, and I will see you very soon.